All right, so today we're heading over to Italy
Oh, yeah.
for a deep dive into something I think is really fascinating in Serie A history.
Right.
And that is how did both of Rome's biggest clubs,
Right.
Lazio and AS Roma,
Yep.
manage to break their decades-long drought
Yeah.
to win the Scudetto in back-to-back seasons at the turn of the century?
Fascinating question.
It is.
Yeah.
And to help us kind of unpack this,
Okay.
we're using a great piece from these football times called The Roman Revival of Lazio and AS Roma at the turn of the 21st century.
Right.
And I think a good place to start is this.
Okay.
You know, Rome is such a historic city.
Oh, yeah.
It's the capital of Italy,
Of course.
but it really hadn't seen its teams dominate
Right.
in Serie A.
Right.
And especially during that time in the 90s,
Yeah.
you know, when Serie A was this global phenomenon.
Football Italia.
Yeah, exactly. All the attention was on
The Milan teams.
Juventus.
Yeah. The
big boys up north.
The big boys up north, exactly.
Yeah, so it's almost like you have this incredible city, all this history,
Yeah.
but the football scene
Yeah.
was almost playing catch-up.
It's interesting, isn't it?
It is.
Because you'd think that Rome, being the capital,
Yeah.
that they would have been the dominant force.
Yeah, right.
But it just never quite happened.
Yeah, so what changed, I guess, in the late 90s?
Well, I think both clubs went through this fascinating transition.
Okay.
They kind of moved away from this more idealistic,
Okay.
attacking style of play,
Okay.
and more towards this pragmatic,
Okay.
results-oriented approach.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And the article actually kicks off in the 90s by
Nice.
talking about Zdeněk Zeman.
Zeman.
Now,
Yeah.
he was known for his
Attack.
attacking football.
All-out attack.
Yeah, I mean, he had stints with both Lazio and Roma.
That's right.
And some of the highest scoring teams
Oh, yeah. He was
Serie A had ever seen.
like a conductor leading an orchestra of goals.
Wow.
He really was.
Yeah.
I mean, his 4-3-3 formation,
Yeah.
it was all about just attacking from all angles.
Right.
Fluidity, overwhelming opponents
Yeah.
with just sheer firepower.
Wow.
Incredible results in terms of goals scored.
Right. And I think a lot of people would agree that goals are exciting,
Oh, for sure.
but they don't always translate into trophies.
That's right.
And so I guess the question is with
Yeah.
Zeman insides,
Yeah.
did they just lack that
Well, I mean,
defensive steel to make a championship run?
I think that's what we're going to be exploring here.
Yeah.
Because, it's like he built these high-powered engines,
Right.
but maybe without the brakes.
Yeah.
He needed to control the game when necessary.
Right.
And ultimately, he fell short of silverware at both clubs.
Right.
So, laid the foundation of attacking talent.
Okay.
But ultimately, I think both teams were craving something more than just...
Than just beautiful football.
Right.
They wanted to win.
Okay.
And I think that desire
Yeah.
for tangible success is what led to the changes that came.
And so for Lazio,
Yeah.
that change came in the form of Sven-Göran Eriksson.
Eriksson, yeah.
And he comes in at a time
Yeah.
when Lazio is making some pretty big financial moves.
Huge investment, yeah.
I mean, they even become the first Italian team
That's right.
to be listed on the stock exchange.
Yeah.
So was that a turning point for them?
I think so.
In terms of not just their squad, but also
Yeah.
their overall approach to the game.
Absolutely. This was a period of, significant investment.
Yeah.
Sergio Cognotti, the president,
Right.
he really wanted to transform the club
Okay.
into a European powerhouse.
Okay.
And Eriksson's arrival,
Yeah.
it really signaled a shift in philosophy.
Okay.
He brought this, pragmatic,
Right.
results-oriented approach,
Right.
which really contrasted with Zeman's style.
So it's almost like they traded poetry.
For pragmatism.
That's a good way of putting it.
And the article mentions how,
Yeah.
Eriksson came in
Yeah.
and he prioritized defensive solidity,
Yes.
bringing in Matias Almeida,
Right.
this tough tackling Argentine midfielder
Yeah.
to kind of shore up the back line.
Mm-hmm.
But then he also, in a move that surprised a lot of people,
It did, yeah.
sold their prolific striker Beppe Signori.
Yeah.
Tough decision.
Yeah. Was that
Yeah.
a statement from Eriksson that...
It was a statement.
Okay.
It showed that he was willing to make those tough decisions
Oh.
to get that balance right.
Okay.
Signori was a fan favorite,
Right.
but his departure allowed Eriksson to really reshape the attack
Right.
with players that fit his vision.
Okay, so he brings in Almeida defensively.
Yep.
He ships out Signori, who's this
Yeah.
prolific goal scorer.
Yep.
But
He brings in, He brings in the big guns.
Marcelo Salas and Christian Vieri.
Salas and Vieri, yeah.
Now, these are two...
They're powerful strikers.
Yeah, very different type of firepower.
Different, yeah.
Compared to the Zeman era.
Exactly. He wasn't building a team just to outscore opponents.
Right.
He was creating a unit that could win in different ways.
Okay.
Salas and Vieri offered this blend of, strength, aerial ability, clinical finishing.
Right.
They were the battering ram to break down those stubborn defenses.
Now, I imagine, though, that the key piece, the player who really made Eriksson's Lazio tick,
missing link,
was Juan Sebastian Veron.
Veron, absolutely.
And the article even says that Eriksson himself said, this guy is
the one,
the missing link.
Yeah.
He is the guy who can take us to the Scudetto.
I mean...
So what was it about Veron?
Well, I mean, he was a midfield maestro.
Right.
He had the vision. He had the passing range.
Right.
Incredible ability to control the tempo of the game. And Eriksson knew how to utilize his talents.
Because they'd worked together previously at Sampdoria.
Right.
So it was a reunion, and it proved to be a masterstroke.
And that impact was immediate.
It was.
I mean, Lazio's first goal of that 992,000 season was a Veron free kick.
Right.
Which isn't necessarily his trademark, but it set the tone for what was to come.
It did. It's almost as if that goal symbolized this new pragmatic Lazio.
Okay.
A team that could still produce those moments of individual brilliance.
Yeah.
But they were built on this foundation of tactical discipline and defensive resilience.
Okay.
They had become a much more complete team.
Under Eriksson.
Under Eriksson, exactly.
And that season was a nail-biter.
It was.
It was a real title race.
Right down to the wire.
With Juventus.
Juventus, yeah.
And Veron, again, plays a crucial role.
He does.
I mean, he scores the free kick winner.
Yep, against Roma.
Against Roma, their city rival.
Huge moment.
I mean, talk about a pressure cooker situation.
For sure.
So they win that match, and then they go on this unbeaten run.
An incredible unbeaten run.
And culminating in that 1-0 victory away at Juventus.
Oh, yeah. What a way to seal the title.
Yeah, I mean, that really secured their first Scudetto in 26 years.
First one in a generation.
I mean, what a moment for Lazio.
It was.
And for Eriksson as well.
Absolutely.
This blend of individual brilliance,
Tactical discipline.
The tactical discipline.
And let's be honest, the money.
Right.
They had the financial muscle.
Yeah. They brought in some big players.
To bring in those key players.
Yeah. But it's important to note that it wasn't just about the money.
No.
It was about spending it wisely.
Exactly.
And building a team that was greater than the sum of its parts.
Right.
So they became this...
The winning machine.
Winning machine.
Yeah.
And Rome had its new champion.
That they did.
But the story doesn't end there.
No, it doesn't.
Because across town, AS Roma was undergoing its own transformation.
Yes, right.
Under the watchful eye of Fabio Capello.
Capello, yeah.
I mean, this guy...
Master tactician.
He had already won titles with AC Milan.
Multiple titles.
Yeah.
A Champions League trophy.
Yeah.
I mean, he brought that winning aura with him.
He brought that pedigree to Roma.
I was so about it.
And he seems to have wasted no time in putting his stamp on the team.
Yeah.
The article mentions that he moved away from Zelman's 4-3-3 to a 3-4-1-2.
Interesting choice.
What was the thinking behind that?
Oh, I think Capello, he was all about adapting to maximize his players' strengths.
Right.
And this 3-4-1-2 allowed him to do that.
Okay.
Especially with Francesco Totti.
Right. The talisman.
Oh, yeah, Roma's captain.
Yeah.
The icon.
So it gave him?
It gave him a free role behind the strikers.
Okay.
Where he could, dictate the play.
Okay.
Create chances with his vision, with his passing.
So almost
like a conductor in an orchestra.
Yeah, orchestrating the attack.
Exactly.
Okay.
And it also allowed him to use Cafu really effectively.
Right.
One of the best attacking fullbacks in the world at that time.
Yeah.
So, Cafu had the freedom to bomb forward on that right flank.
Yeah.
Create havoc with his pace, his crossing.
So Capello is essentially building a system.
He is, yeah.
That is defensively sound, but can also attack with pace and precision.
Very much so.
But he didn't stop there.
No, he didn't.
I mean, he brought in some big guns.
Oh, yeah.
Walter Samuel.
Rock solid defender.
Powerhouse in midfield.
And then to top it all off.
The icing on the cake.
Gabriel Batistuta.
Batistuta.
One of the most feared strikers in the world.
goal machine.
I mean, these signings were a statement, weren't they?
Absolutely.
He was building a team to win the Scudetto.
Yeah.
And he needed players with experience, with grit,
right,
and a winning mentality.
It's a potent mix.
Yeah.
You've got Totti.
Yeah.
You've got Batistuta.
You got Cafu at the back.
Cafu.
Solid.
On paper, this looks like a championship-winning team.
It does.
But as we know, football is rarely
played on paper.
That's right. So how did this translate onto the pitch?
Well, I mean, that 2000-2001 season, it was a roller coaster for Roma. There were moments of brilliance where, you know, they really showed their attacking flair. But they also had to dig deep and show that resilience in the tight games. But Capello's influence, it was there for all to see in their tactical discipline, their ability to grind out those results.
And the article really focuses on this one moment in the season.
It does.
The match against Juventus.
The big one.
On May 6th, 2001.
Yeah. And title decider.
This was a title decider.
Absolutely.
Juventus
are the defending champions.
Yeah.
Always a tough team to beat.
Especially at home.
Yeah, especially at home.
The atmosphere must have been electric.
Yeah. I can only imagine. The stakes were so high.
Couldn't have been higher.
And it didn't start well for Roma.
You know, it didn't. I mean, Juventus...
2-0 down early.
2-0 up early in the match.
Thanks to Del Piero and Zidane.
Yeah. I mean, can you imagine being a Roma fan?
Oh, I mean, talk about despair.
At that point.
2-0 down.
Yeah.
Against your rivals.
Yeah.
With the title on the line.
Yeah.
It's a mountain to climb.
But this Roma side, under Capello.
They had something special.
Yeah. They had that steel, that resolve.
They refused to crumble.
And then a glimmer of hope.
Yeah.
Hidetoshi Nakata comes on as a substitute. And with just over 10 minutes left,
unbelievable,
he scores this thunderbolt.
What a goal.
To pull one back.
I mean, what a moment.
What a crucial moment.
He must have lifted the entire stadium.
Yeah.
Gave them that belief.
And then suddenly, Juventus are on the back foot.
Yeah, they were rattled.
Now they're still clinging to that lead.
They are.
Time is running out.
Yeah,
and then
deep into injury time. Vincenzo Montella. Another substitute. Pounces on a loose ball. Slots it home.
I mean, can you imagine?
I mean, scenes.
Oh, the scenes.
Absolute pandemonium. Roma players and fans going crazy.
Yeah.
Juventus players stunned.
Yeah.
It was a goal that defied logic.
It really did.
You know, just when all hope seemed lost, they found a way.
And really, Capello's substitutions had paid off.
Oh, yeah.
Now that draw against Juventus, achieved in such dramatic circumstances, almost felt like a victory for Roma.
It did.
It proved their mental strength.
Their resilience,
and their ability to perform under pressure.
Exactly when it mattered most.
Do you think that was a turning point?
Oh, yeah. I think it galvanized the team. Sent a message to the rest of the league that they were not going to be beaten easily. And they rode that wave of momentum. They won their remaining games. And they clinched the Scudetto.
Their first in 18 years?
18 years.
I mean, what a story.
It's remarkable, isn't it?
It's amazing, isn't it?
Oh, it's incredible.
You know how Lazio with Eriksson and then Roma with Capello achieved this?
Back to back.
Back to back.
Yeah.
It really was a period...
Roman football was on top.
Where Roman football was at the pinnacle of Italian football. But as captivating as these triumphs were, the article does point out that this Roman revival was short-lived.
It was relatively shortlived,
So why do you think that is?
Well, that's a good question. And I think, you know, football is a constantly changing landscape.
Right.
You know, both teams made shrewd investments. Right. You had brilliant managers.
Yeah.
But to sustain that level of success in a league as competitive as Serie A, it's incredibly difficult.
Yeah.
You know, other teams adapt, new challenges emerge, and the financial realities of football, especially in the early 2000s, played a big role.
The article mentions how both clubs actually experienced financial difficulties
in the years
following their title wins.
Yeah.
And and Lazio especially.
Yeah, that was a big downfall.
Had a really dramatic...
The collapse of the Serie A food empire, which had backed the club, really hit them hard.
Yeah, and it's just a reminder that, success in football can be very fragile and be influenced by so many factors beyond just what happens on the pitch.
For sure. And, even tactically, football's always evolving. What works one season might not work. The next opponents analyze, they adapt, they find ways to counter.
It's almost like this.
It's like a chess match.
Chess match.
Yeah, constantly trying to outmaneuver.
Yeah, always one step ahead.
Your opponent,
But even if that period of dominance was fleeting, what do you think is the lasting legacy of this Roman revival?
It's a reminder that even in a league dominated by the northern giants, anything is possible. Lazio and Roma, they show that with the right combination of ambition, investment, tacticalness, and a little bit of luck, that even the underdogs can rise to the top.
It's inspiring.
It is.
And I think it also highlights the contrasting styles of Eriksson and Capello.
Two very different managers.
Right.
Eriksson with his more adaptable, player-centric approach.
Yeah.
Capello, the meticulous tactician, demanding that discipline and control.
Yeah.
Two different personalities, two different paths to success.
Yeah. I mean, it's fascinating how...
It is, isn't it? There's no
one-size-fits-all approach to winning in football.
Right.
It's about finding the right balance for your team, for your players, for the challenges that you face.
And I think for our listeners, maybe this deep dive has kind of sparked that curiosity to explore some other fascinating periods in football history where the underdog defied the odds.
Exactly.
Where tactical innovations changed the game.
And just
where the passion.
The passion and the drama of this sport captivated audiences around the world.
It's a sport that constantly throws up surprises, narratives shift.
Yeah.
And I think ultimately the beauty lies in the unpredictable nature of the game itself.
Beautifully said so. Until our next deep dive.
Yeah.
Keep exploring.
Keep exploring.
Keep questioning.
And keep the love of the beautiful game alive.
Absolutely.